Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. It is a delight to get together with someone that we've been talking to over the years, Gerald Celente from TrendsJournal and TrendsResearchInstitute. Gerald, welcome back.
Oh, good to be back, Sinclair.
Now, normally I talk with someone and we discuss what has happened. With you, it's a discussion of what has happened is just to establish the context for what will happen. So let's take a look at the history of the future, if you will, because that's what you really do with the TrendsJournal and Trends Research. You try and give us some predictions, and you're remarkably good at it, by the way.
Well, thank you. I've been at it for over 30 years, and it becomes second nature after a while as well, and you can see the patterns developing. And what we're looking at when you watch the current events forming future trends is that everything they've been telling us since the Great Recession has hit has either been a lie intentionally or inaccurate. And I say that because we've documented in this Trends Journal the lies that have been told to us by not only in the United States, quote, policymakers. I love that name they give themselves, policymakers and lawmakers, but also the Europeans, the United States. It's global. And they keep telling us one thing, and they're doing another thing. And when you look at the facts, as we add them up, it's nothing more than a con game.
You, by the way, I should say the summer issue of the Trends Journal, I've just finished it. It's phenomenal. It's excellent.
Thank you.
Available at TrendsResearch.com, yes?
Yes, TrendsResearch.com or, of course, TrendsJournal.com.
Okay, and I would recommend this. It's just a bundle of fun to read it, and it is enlightening. It's Eurocentric this time around. Makes a lot of sense. You've traveled recently to Europe, and so much is going on in Europe. And probably one of the best explanations of what happened in Greece is in this issue, and how Greece just got snookered into a game of finance, and how they literally got destroyed in the process. But it's the same basic con game that repeats itself in Greece and Spain, throughout Europe, pretty much everywhere, isn't it?
Pretty much everywhere. The major story that everybody should be talking about, and not the Olympics, they should be talking about the LIBOR scandal. But, of course, most people wouldn't know what a LIBOR is if they got hit over the head with one. And the LIBOR, essentially, it's an interest rate that's set by banks, the handful of banks that put their brains together and say, this is what we're borrowing money at. And from that basis, they established $700 trillion worth of borrowing based on the LIBOR, your student loans, mortgages, credit card loans, well, everything, auto loans, as I said. Everything is based on LIBOR. And now we find out they rigged the game. I'm not making this up. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a fact.
It's a fact.
It's a fact. And they knew about it. Timothy Geithner, our Treasury Secretary, it's in writing, it's in emails. They knew about it. They knew about it as far back as 2007 and 2008. They knew it over there in the Bank of England. They knew about it. The emails are there. They knew about it. They're all in collusion. The game is rigged and you're not in it. And people better understand that. This is the greatest bank robbery in world history, and the banks are doing the robbing. No one's ever seen anything like this before. It was all preordained. Rockefellers talked about it with the Trilateral Commission when it was first established back in the day after World War II, and talking about developing central banks throughout the world. And that's what's going on in Europe. You're hearing about all of this bailout and sovereign debt crisis. No, that's only the cover-up. The big story is they're setting up a central bank. Germans are going to be losing their sovereignty, France, Italy, and they're going to put all the power in Brussels. And by the way, people, if you want to look ahead and be a trend forecaster, tune into Germany on September 12th when their Supreme Court rules whether or not they're going to allow them to do that. And if they do allow them to do that, that is the end of European sovereignty. Every country there will be further controlled by the banking system.
They're already controlled by the banking system. We've seen this, I think, very clearly as it's been playing out in one country after another. Ireland, Portugal, Greece. Now Spain is under the gun. Italy's next in line. They're just lining them up and knocking them over, aren't they? But you're right about the LIBOR. I mean, I can't move away from that too fast. LIBOR has to be one of the most massive crimes, financial crimes of all time, and it's getting almost no attention at all in the mass media in the United States. I cannot imagine the amount of corruption that must be going on to not make that a huge story.
They got the grand total of 12 minutes of broadcast time in the major media in the United States. Flagship nightly news programs like ABC's World News with Diane Sawyer, NBC's Nightly News with Brian Williams, Fox's Special Report with Britt Baer, they never even mentioned it. They never even mentioned it.
Well, now, I got to tell you, I think it was CNN that I saw, and they brought a reporter out to explain LIBOR, and he said, well, it's really just too complicated, and you wouldn't understand it. So they wrapped it up in about 20 seconds.
There you go. Yeah, we're too stupid to understand anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. So, yes, I agree with you 100% that it's criminality at virtually every level in the banking system. It's ruining, it's destroying people's lives every day, every hour. And it is so complicit that they keep it out of the news. And when you pick up the headlines, what was it, a couple of days ago, HSBC had to pay a fine for money laundering. I mentioned the LIBOR scandal. This Robert Diamond of Barclays, who was a key player in it, he said, I'm sorry, he resigned, and he walked away with $100 million plus. We had the MF Global scandal where John Corzine, the former governor, former senator of New Jersey, former CEO of the Goldman Sachs gang, he can't find $1.6 billion worth of money that they took out of segregated funds like mine. Do you see any heads roll? Do you see anybody doing any time? Do you see anybody getting called up on the carpet? But, boy, get caught stealing a chicken sandwich in Tucson at a 7-Eleven, boy, will they come down on you. You'll go to jail. Oh, and guess what? If you go to jail, you know what they can do now, right, Sinclair? Under the Obama administration, as a friend of the court, they can now strip search anybody that gets put in jail for any reason at all. So that's what's happening in America. People call this, this is turning into a communist state. No, it's not. It's the merger of state and corporate powers.
And that's
by
fascism.
definition, that's fascism.
Exactly. That's what it is. And you started out the summer issue by talking about how you had taken a trip to Germany. And it brought up thoughts of Hitler and how in the world people would have allowed something like that, or your ancestry, you're Italian, and how such a great culture as Italy could have ever allowed a Mussolini to come into power. But it happened.
Exactly. And again, you look at the Germans. I mean, my God, strong, powerful, educated people. You look at the people, their history, the names, Goethe, Einstein, Bach, Beethoven, Wagner. I mean, where do you get a better crew than that? As you mentioned, I'm of Italian descent. Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Puccini, Rossini, Caruso, and our food's a lot better.
Oh.
And how can they let a two-bit freak like cartoon characters like Mussolini and Hitler take over their countries? And I came back to the U.S. I've been looking to leave because I'm so disgusted with what's going on. And I've been down to Uruguay and Argentina and Chile and traveling around. And I said to myself, there are two-bit freaks everywhere. And we have them right here in the good old USA. I'm a political atheist. I don't believe in political gods or political religions. Anybody's entitled to do what they want. Just don't bring me into your show. It's your own trip. And as I look at the presidential reality show, it's a freak show to me. People are going to vote for a lesser of two evils. So I'm saying to myself, if you don't stand up and take a position What is it that allows people, this isn't a philosophical debate, and entire countries have been destroyed. And I can tell you, in looking at Berlin, to me it was grander than Paris before it was bombed out. The wide boulevards. No building over maybe 15 stories, lights shining in everywhere, parks, greenery everywhere you look, wide boulevards, sidewalks with enough room for cafe tables to walk and to bicycle on. And then in between, all these beautiful old buildings from the late 1800s and early 1900s, all new construction, all bombed out. And yeah, I'm going to tell you, the Germans have not recovered from this. The country will never be the same. What's been destroyed is gone. And guess what? The same thing is being destroyed in this country. The soul of America is dying with a breed of political freaks, as I see them, that are raping this country for their own gain. We have a gang of 535 senators and congressmen telling 312 million people how to tie their shoes.
And yet that gang back in Washington gets their marching orders, gets their money, because all they're really interested in is getting the money to go from one term to the next. So they're on the campaign finance circuit continuously. And that money largely is coming from the FIRE sector, finance, insurance, real estate, the financial sector, which has grown disproportionately to the rest of the economy. And we've got banksters in charge of the place.
You got it. You said it perfectly. I love that. FIRE. I never heard that one before. It's exactly what it is. But I have to correct you. You said they're out on the campaign trail collecting money, or words to that effect.
Yeah.
See, that's what they want us to believe. These aren't campaign contributions. In real life, you call them bribes and payoffs.
You're correct.
So let's call it what it is. The politicians are nothing more than wise guys for the financial mafia.
So, how do we change? Is it too late to change it?
No, it's not too late. I don't believe so. I still believe in the human spirit. And what I've learned from my work in 32 years of doing this work is that nothing is going to change until the people change. And they say that the fish rots from the head down. And we're talking about LIBOR and all the scandals. And I'm opposed to these wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. As you know, you've been interviewing me for years.
Mm-hmm.
I forecast exactly what would happen before they started. And I wasn't very popular for doing that. And so I want all our troops home. I'm an American firster. I don't want my money going anywhere. I'm not an anti-Semite when I said I want my money going to Israel. As you mentioned, I'm of Italian descent. I don't want it going to Italy either. And that would be my first choice. I don't want a penny of my money going overseas. To me, the only way back is to rebuild America. Rebuild America's industry. Rebuild America's quality. Remember when it was about quality and not everyday low prices? Remember when quality counted in clothes and in appearance and about language and about presentation and dignity and respect? That, to me, have a renaissance. Put back the laws that made America work the way it did before they took them away, like the Glass-Steagall Act that allowed the banksters to rob the country, just as they did when they caused the Great Depression. They did it again, and they're going to continue to let them do it. So what I'm saying is we need an entirely new system. We need a system that's built on morality, not politics, because politics and morality, they're oxymorons. They don't go together. I'm not going to vote in this election. I will not vote. I will not vote for a lesser of two evils. I don't associate with them in business, in partnerships, in relationships, in anything in my life. I will certainly not vote for one to run my life. 40% less of the people vote. We could call this an illegitimate election.
Hang on. We have more to talk about, and we will continue this conversation with Gerald Celente from the TrendsJournal. And we're going to find out history before it happens as we continue our conversation in just a moment. Money Radio. We're back with Gerald Celente. Gerald Celente is the publisher of the TrendsJournal. You can go to TrendsResearch.com. There is a new summer issue available, and it's just phenomenal reading. It's absolutely great. It puts everything in context At least it did for me as I read through it. And this just gave me a beautiful summary. But then what it also does, trends, that's the very title of what you do, the Trends Journal. We try to get some idea of what is going to happen. We look at what did happen and try and see where that may lead us. Where does it lead us, Gerald? Where do we go from here?
You know how they say history repeats itself?
Yeah.
Well, and the only thing we seem to learn from history is nothing. History is repeating itself. We had the crash of '29 caused by the banks and Wall Street greed. We went into the Great Depression, currency wars, trade wars, World War. It's replaying itself. We had the Panic of '08. We had the Great Depression / Great Recession. There's a recession, depression going on in America. The U6 unemployment rate's over 16%. You look at John Williams' shadow stats, he's showing 22%.
Yeah.
You look at the data that came out July, created 63,000 jobs.
And unemployment went up.
Yeah, unemployment went up. They lost 95,000 jobs.
Right.
30% of all the jobs out there are paying poverty level. I mean, come on, who's making this stuff up with these numbers? And then when you look at what is the income down 10% since the recession started? So we're in a depression / recession, depending what country you're in. Currency wars are heating up. They're yelling about the Chinese devaluing the yuan and making it uncompetitive for other nations to export their products. You're looking at the rupee, the Indian rupee, is in the cellar. It's down at all-time lows. The real over in Brazil, they're trying to pump it up. They can't. Argentina won't let any money leave the country. And trade wars, they're heating up already. World war is next. The first great war of the 21st century has actually already begun, and people aren't adding it up. Let's go around the world. Let's start in that little place called Yemen. Yeah, the little joint near Saudi Arabia that has all the oil. Oh, yeah, they're exploding every day, and they can't put it down. Let's blame it on al-Qaeda. Okay, we won't blame it on corruption of the old regime that was there for 40 years that the United States supported. No, because they're also supporting that kingdom over there in Saudi Arabia. You can't say anything bad about kings. I read fairy tales. Kings are nice, and aren't those nice kings now in Bahrain putting down the insurrection from the Shia majority? Oh, yeah, that's where the Saudis are. And aren't they being criticized for shooting inordinate amounts of tear gas into the crowds and all kinds of diseases and birth defects are arising throughout the entire society? Yeah, well, let's not talk about that because there's a civil war going on in Libya. And who's supporting that civil war in Libya? Oh, those democratic kingdoms over there in Qatar, Bahrain, in Saudi Arabia, the Arab League. Oh, yeah, the Arab Little League. They're the ones that are doing. Yeah, right. And there's a revolution going on, civil war in Spain, in Syria. Oh, and Iran's involved in it, aren't they? Yes, they are. And you can't have Iran getting involved in anything. No, we got to nuke them before they get a nuke. Oh, and then how about in Israel? Well, the fourth person this month just set themselves on fire because of the dire economic conditions. Oh, and their president, their prime minister, Netanyahu, 60% of the people don't like him. And he's talking about more war with Iran and now with Syria because he's saying al-Qaeda's involved in the Syria rebellion. Hey, wait a minute. The United States is saying the rebels have a cause over there in Syria. I didn't know that they were al-Qaeda. Well, you got your story wrong. You got to believe the other guy. All right? Where else? Well, let's go to Spain. Millions of people taking the streets every other week.
And we don't even hear about that. You know, I would love to continue this conversation, but Gerald, we've run out of time. So I'll send people to TrendsResearch.com or TrendsJournal.com. Take your pick. Get the summer issue. Read it. Realize that you do have a chance to prepare. That's
yes,
the
you
important
do, and
thing.
that's what the Trends Journal is about, to prepare for what's coming. Don't go into the future blindly is my advice.
Gerald Celente, I love talking to you. It's always a lot of fun, and it's always informative, and we'll have to do it again.
Yes, let's do it sooner.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.